everyone online. The ninth graders are going to go now, almost all of them in this period, and then we're just going to run right into the next period for them to finish. So everyone in the school has worked very hard on their speeches this year. For the last month, they've been researching, writing, and practicing their delivery. The ninth graders have been an especially impressive class this year with really great speeches, but also super high level delivery. And so I'm super excited for you guys to see them all. So welcome to the 15th annual Lee Vining High School Speech Contest, school-wide speeches. Our first speaker will be Alecsa.
One time, I sent my sister Julie a TikTok. The video is about how when your mom acts like a Karen in a grocery store and you and your siblings pretend like you don't know who she is. When I went to go open it, I realized I had sent the video to my mom. Thankfully, she didn't get mad or anything. After that happened, I always remember to double check who I send the videos to. Although sending videos or texting is easier and fun, with modern technology, we all know that impersonal relationships are crumbling because technology is replacing real and meaningful conversations. Yes, technology can make life more efficient. Communicating with someone is easier than it was 50 years ago. Nowadays, in a click of a button, you can send a message to someone. But 100 years ago, you either had to write them a letter or wait until you saw them in person. In other words, technology has come a long way. With many apps and devices, it provides a lot of advantages to the situation. According to a recent article by Butler Hospital, social media can also provide social support, facilitate connections with others, and offer a platform for self-expression and creativity. All these reasons still don't balance out a big thing that makes a conversation, an emotional connection. When you are face-to-face with someone, you feel what they are saying. You feel more connected to them. FaceTime and texting are great too, but with technology evolving, people seem to forget that in-person conversations are what makes people feel like humans, not robots. When, in my opinion, we need to have more in-person conversations. When I am having a conversation with someone in person, I feel more connected to them. I feel like they really understand what I am saying. Also, when I'm in person, I pick up on social cues. If I were to text, they might not understand. For example, once I sent my sister a text with her name in all caps. She thought I was angry at her, but in reality, I was excited. But text can be unclear if you don't set the right tone. In in-person conversations, you can tell the tone of the conversation by the level of emotion you bring. Social media is another technology that harms in-person relationships. For some people, social media is part of their daily routine. After a long day, you might want a break. Social media is a good way to get out of it, but it's hard to escape it once you enter it. In an article by Butler Hospital, it's more than just scrolling through updates, it's become an obsession, even an addiction. People all over the world have an addiction when it comes to social media. As for I go on Instagram or TikTok and I pick a time to stop. After what I thought was my time barrier, it's 30 minutes past. At that time, I could have played that game my sister Haley was asking to play, but instead I brushed it off, told her I'm doing something. Once I was on my phone all day. I later looked up to see my sister playing Uno by herself. It was upsetting to see. You can go on a walk, paint, clean your room, so many things to do, and yet we waste our times on our phones. Social media is a good thing when it's used properly. As a teenager, balancing out school, chores, sports, and many more tasks, it is hard. In other words, teens have busy lives. One way to find peace is on the internet. You can watch a YouTube video, share a TikTok, or just scroll for hours. Social media is made to express, but it is easy to find yourself stuck in a black hole full of negativity. According to a UC Davis study, increased feelings of anxiety and depression, specifically in teens and young adults. All these are big problems that teens like me can feel on a daily basis. Watching a video with someone who has a better body, a better skin, a better everything when you compare it to yourself. It picks out every insecurity you have. For me, it just takes one pretty girl to come on my page and it ruins me. I compare myself to her. Every dandelion, I'm wishing to be her. Any birthday candle, I'm wishing to be her. Social media is a good thing when it's used properly, but in other areas, it can just make them worse. So, has technology influenced individuals engaging in interpersonal communication? Yes, social media has many apps and other useful stuff. It is evolving so much that we forget we have something better. We have face-to-face conversations. Yes, technology makes it easier to share news, but seeing the raw emotions on someone's face when having a face-to-face conversation is something technology cannot replace. Thank you.
Excellent job. Okay, Cody, wait 1 sec for your mom to make it in so she doesn't distract you.
Do you have... Am I starting?
Go ahead, Cody.
Do you have a friend or family member who couldn't find a place to live? I cannot even count how many people I know who have lost their long-term housing to nightly rentals. Nightly rentals in the June Lake area have been getting out of hand and replacing long-term housing. Eric Rios, a resident of Mono County, has been struggling with finding long-term housing due to lack of affordable housing. Nightly rentals take away from the amount of affordable housing available to those of us who live here full-time. Here in Mono County and across the nation, housing is hard to come by. Even if you find housing, acquiring enough money for rent is a big struggle in our community. One main reason for this is because rents are so expensive. According to the Mono County Housing Report, renters in Mono County need to earn about $21 per hour, which is 1.3 times the state minimum wage. This is needed to afford the average monthly rent of about $1,100. 60% of extremely low-income households in Mono County are paying more than half of their income on housing costs, compared to 0% of moderate-income households. People who work in Mono County have trouble finding jobs that offer the amount of money in order to keep their housing. The California Housing Report also states that state and federal funding for Mono County has seen a 97% decrease from 2023. This just proves that even if you are able to find housing, acquiring enough money to keep your housing, this just proves that even if you are able to afford housing, there are not many options for housing. Mono County would benefit from affordable housing because more employees would have a place to stay, especially in the two resort towns of Mammoth Lakes and June Lake. Without enough staff working in the ski areas, they cannot open many parts of the mountains that need active employees working there. This may lead to fewer people visiting these towns, and when fewer people visit these towns, businesses get fewer customers, leading to many shutting down. When businesses shut down, this is a sign that they are not making enough money to keep their employees. This proves what the Mammoth Times stated: our local workforce is the backbone of our community, and ensuring that they have access to affordable, stable housing is essential to our community's sustainability and growth. Without available, affordable housing, this snowball effect will happen to our communities and change many great aspects of Mono County. Fixing Mono County's affordable housing crisis would be a great start to making Mono County an even better place. The Eastern Sierra is a great place to grow up and live, but it's not that easy or affordable to live here anymore. In June of 2012, June Mountain announced it would not be opening for the 2012-2013 winter season, leaving many local families without work. They stated the closure was due to lack of business and that the village of June Lake needed more beds in town to accommodate the increased visitors needed to operate the resort. Lara Kirkner from The Sheet wrote that Rusty Gregory pointed out, as many expected he would, that in order to be able to move forward with reopening the mountain, the community needed a larger bed base. She quoted Rusty Gregory saying, "We need another 1,000 units." He said it won't work for people to drive from Mammoth to June. At least 20% of the ski area's demand needs to be here in the bed base. I believe this is what started the beginning of the housing crisis. Soon, the county was approving nightly rentals to have more beds in town, leading to fewer short-term seasonal rentals and long-term rentals, taking away housing for employees. In 2020, when COVID hit, real estate prices began to rapidly increase. Second homeowners would either sell their second homeowners would do one of two things. They would either sell their home for a profit or they would relocate. The new owner would then turn the home into a nightly rental. More and more nightly rentals means less and less long-term housing. There are a few ways that we can fix this housing crisis. The first thing we can do is more deed restriction. The county has started doing this in Mammoth Lakes, but more communities need this opportunity. It can be a great solution to be able to own an affordable house with lower monthly payment. Paige Fisher from the Sheet stated, the county buys existing market rate homes, resells them to locals at a lower rate, and places them under a deed restriction. Another way we can fix the housing crisis is to simply build more affordable housing, apartments or condos. In order to do this, we need land. Unfortunately, land is hard to come by in our community since we are surrounded by Forest Service land. Lastly, if the county built workforce housing, it would be able to help the employees be able to employ people. From an interview with local real estate agent Lydia March, I found that every aspect of our community that you look at, county employees, teachers, entry-level jobs, resort workers, all of them are affected by the lack of long-term rentals right now. Lydia March has been in real estate for over 10 years working for Sierra Crest Real Estate. She also manages nightly rentals. Mono County is known for its shortage of housing, and we need to change that. Mono County is a beautiful place with many activities like fishing, hiking, or skiing, or just relaxing in the outdoors. With so many great things that can be appreciated, it would be a shame to not have businesses benefit from these visitors. These steps would make us one step closer to solving the housing crisis in Mono County, making it a better place.
Okay, so we're gonna do a minor shift, I'm super sorry, just because June Lake kids are gonna leave earlier, so if you live in town, you're still gonna go this period, but I'm gonna move up. Right now, Lilly and Merrick are gonna be the next two, so that, so I'm sorry, Ivan, I'm sorry.
There's probably time for Ivan to go.
Ivan, you're like, Ivan, you go.
You have at least 15 minutes.
Okay. Ivan, you're feeling it. So we're gonna Ivan, Lily, Merrick, then Henry, Diego, Gwen. Right? Because that way everyone can get their speech and I don't want anyone to have to stress about it tonight. I just want everyone to be able to finish. Okay? Does that work for everyone? Okay. Ivan, I'm sorry to freak you out like that. You got this?
Have you ever had to talk to someone online and you misunderstood what that person was trying to say? Or maybe you even sent something to the wrong person? Well, it happened to me. This one time I was talking to my friend and we were sending each other chats. He was telling me a time for a birthday party that we were both going to. He had told me that the party would start at 4 p.m., but it would start at 5 p.m. So me being me, I showed up to this place an hour early. I arrived looking like I was lost because nobody was there with me. Another time, one of my other friends was trying to show me something important, and he sent it to the wrong person, or to the wrong Ivan. Apparently, he has two Ivans in his contacts. Of course, the other person was confused on why he was sending him that. In a face-to-face conversation, obviously you aren't going to make the same mistakes my friends made, because you can't mistype your words and you can't talk to the wrong person without knowing it. Although we all know technology can make communicating a lot easier, it can also interfere with our interpersonal relationships. Too much time on screens can harm our interpersonal relationships because it takes quality time away from being with your friends and can also damage the way you talk to someone. Technology can interfere with real-life relationships. Even though technology can help bring people together or even heal the relationships that are damaged, it can also be the cause of why people break up or hate one another. It can interfere how you communicate online because when you talk to people often by chatting and communicating or chatting and texting, you may not have exposure to face-to-face cues. According to the Center for Intimacy, Connection, and Change, excessive use of technology when unchecked may inadvertently lead to diminished face-to-face communication. This reduction in direct in-person interactions can affect the depth and quality of interpersonal relationships. The convenience of digital may sometimes deter us from our ability to connect on a deeper level, more personal level. Yes, communicating through technology can help connect relationships from distances. It can also reduce the interpersonal relationship between you and your partner. Although technology can harm our ability to communicate with one another, it can also enhance it. People can also enhance their communication skills online by talking with people from all around the world. This can expose you to new things like meeting people from another part of the world and learning about their country, religion, and history. An article by Group for Therapy says that digital platforms enable people to connect with others across geographical boundaries and enhancing cultural competency and empathy. Through online discussions and social media interactions, individuals can gain exposure to diverse viewpoints, fostering critical thinking and practical communication skills. Yes, technology can damage the way we communicate, but it can also enhance it. For example, if you use technology often, it can enhance the way you talk to someone because it can give you more practice on how you can use this unique method of communicating. Communicating online can also lead to other side effects like depression and anxiety. Not only is using technology changing the way people communicate in person, it can also lead to things that harm your mental health. An article by NPR shows us how Twenge warned of a mental health crisis on the horizon. Rates of depression and anxiety and loneliness were rising. And she had a hypothesis for the cause: smartphones and all social media that comes along with them. Smartphones were used by the majority of Americans around 2012, and that's the same time loneliness increases. Studies have shown that due to the increase in screen time, the depression and anxiety levels in teens were rising. People who use technology to communicate more than in person can suffer from loneliness due to the lack of cues and emotions they face online. Thank you.
Okay, Lilly is going next.
Tragically, a mother of 3 was killed after her abuser was allowed to keep his guns. According to CBS News, China Mitchell lived in Chicago with her 3 children and her boyfriend, Louis Foster. She went to court in October of 2022 and was granted an emergency order of protection after claiming Louis was abusive. She also requested a seizure warrant to have his guns taken, but the judge did not grant it. Then, in January of 2024, she became one of the newest domestic violence victims. She was shot and killed by Louis Foster, the man whose guns should have been taken. Domestic violence, also known as intimate partner violence, is more common than we know, and it worsens communities every day. In order to make our community and all communities better places, we need to end or reduce intimate partner violence. Domestic abuse not only harms the victim, but also affects entire communities. Yes, the person suffering from abuse will be handling the most pain, but the story and repercussions will affect many others. For example, when one is being abused and needs to tell someone, the first initial thought is to go to someone close or someone they trust, such as family or good friends. When you tell these people, they are then carrying that stress and worry for you. When children are abused, they do not perform very well in school. And lastly, those in abusive relationships carry negative outcomes, such as bad skills, into their work and into future relationships. On top of that, the cost in healthcare is severely high. According to an article by the McLean Hospital, the direct healthcare costs of domestic violence totaled approximately $4.1 billion. An additional $1.8 billion was lost in productivity due to injuries and premature death. The $4.1 billion represents the costs related to medical treatments, emergency care, and mental health services, and etc. These costs show how domestic violence strains healthcare systems and diverts resources that can be used for treating other health conditions. The additional $1.8 billion that gets lost in productivity emphasizes the far-reaching consequences. Survivors usually face challenges such as physical injuries, psychological trauma, and social stigma, which can affect their ability to function and participate in society. As well as the economic costs, domestic violence harms families and communities where it creates a cycle of trauma. Seeing all of the negative repercussions, we wonder, why does domestic violence happen? The main reason abuse happens is because the abuser wants power and control. According to the Very Well Mind website, abusers typically hurt their partners as a way to maintain power over them and ensure that they cannot leave. Hurting your partner to make them stay does not make sense, because if you are being hurt, you obviously would not want to stay in that relationship. It just scares them into not leaving. This behavior will not end up in a healthy and loving relationship. If a place were to have many relationships like this, it would make the town and community very unsafe. Though it feels as domestic violence is impossible to escape, there are ways to stop it. According to an article from the McLean Hospital, healthy relationship programs for couples, early childhood home visitation, changing the social environments of neighborhoods, and providing treatment and support for survivors are solutions that help prevent abuse, support victims, and create safer environments. Programs like these help couples develop healthy communication skills, which plays a big role in reducing the likelihood of intimate partner violence. A good resource we have here in Mono County is Wild Iris, located in Mammoth Lakes. Some of the help they provide includes a 24-hour crisis hotline, emergency shelter, court and medical advocacy and accompaniment, peer counseling and support, and etc. We also have gun laws which can protect the victim. For example, someone convicted of a felony, an offense such as misdemeanor violation, inflicting corporal injury, and someone convicted 2 or more times for drawing or exhibiting any firearm in a threatening manner will face lifetime prohibitions. By changing the social environments, we can reduce stressors that provoke violence. As we can see, domestic violence or intimate partner violence has big impacts on communities, undermining social cohesion, public health, and economic stability. To stop the impacts of domestic violence, we should raise awareness about this topic. As well, we need to provide resources such as more shelters or counseling. Altogether, fixing the issue of domestic violence will take a lot of effort. But we already have some baby steps proving that we can solve this problem and make our community a better place. Thank you.
Okay, Merrick, you are up next.
I don't know if I'm... Miss Taylor, am I good? Good? Okay. One day, my dad was away at work and was staying at a hotel. He woke up the next morning and texted my mom, "Hey, babe, how'd you sleep?" She replied and said, "I slept great, but I'm not your wife." Turns out it wasn't my mom, and it was my dad's boss instead. Technology isn't the best, but it does have its perks. For example, you can text friends and family from across the globe. Another use is for business. According to an article from business.com, at leading organizations, quick team alignments are handled by problem solving through video calls with creative collaboration through hybrid sessions, combining in-person and remote participants. It can help businesses communicate with people or coworkers that can't make it to the meeting in person. And it can also help businesses communicate with other companies. Technology has so many uses and can help lots of people and companies. While technology is really helpful and cool, it has many downsides. One of those downsides is that it's super easy to lie about things and cancel or delay important things. An article from NBCnews.com says, lying is also easier with texting since it doesn't betray the motive behind the message. Are you texting home to say you're working late while actually you're out drinking with a coworker? Is your cold really that bad? The thing is, people delay way too often. And say, "I'll be there in 5 minutes," just for them to reply again another 5 minutes later, saying, "I'm sorry, I'm on my way, I'll be there in 10. And they keep you waiting and waiting and waiting until you get a text about 30 minutes after they said they'll be there, just for them to say, "I'm so sorry, I can't make it today, and I'll have to cancel. But maybe we can plan for another time next week." This hurts our interpersonal relationships because it isn't real, meaningful communication. Technology is just horrible sometimes, though. It can cause death or even injuries. It's sad, but it happens because according to an article from NPR, across the globe since 2010, anxiety, depression, and loneliness have all increased. And it's not just symptoms that rose, but also behaviors, including emergency room visits, for self-harm, for suicide attempts, and complete suicides. Apple introduced the first iPhones in 2007, and by 2012, about 50% of American adults owned a smartphone. People are ending their lives or trying to end their lives just because they saw something on social media, or someone messaged them and said something cruel that made them or some other people want to end their lives. Technology can ruin interpersonal communications just because technology can ruin interpersonal communications, but it can also hurt people. In my opinion, social media is only hurting our personal relationships and people's lives because of social media. Thank you.
Have you ever said something in a text that you'd have never said to someone face to face? Have you ever felt isolated after talking with someone on the phone? Do you ever feel depressed or anxious after a long conversation while texting or calling? The answer for most people is yes. When we use things like cell phones to communicate instead of talking to people face to face, we lose all body language and nonverbal cues. This leads to people feeling a sense of detachment from who they are talking to. Although we all know that communication technology enhances the efficiency of communication, it has a very negative effect on our ability to engage in interpersonal communication. Communication technology draws people apart and destroys relationships, greatly impacting their interpersonal communication. An article written by Brandon Swenson, a psychologist at the University of Arkansas, says that the sense of anonymity we have online or of feeling slightly removed from the situation when behind a keyboard can lead to us to saying things we wouldn't ordinarily say in a face-to-face situation. Coupled with the ability to share information in record time, this can quickly create uncomfortable and even dangerous situations. When we are using technology to communicate instead of talking to people face to face, we feel a sense of invincibility. We feel that our words don't matter if we just text them, and that nobody will take them serious. This can ultimately cause to people having fights with each other. We have all done it. You send a joking text to your own friends, and they take it the wrong way. Now they aren't talking to you. You interpreted it as a text, but they did not. You thought that since it was a text, they wouldn't take it seriously. This can happen because the ease of miscommunication is greatly heightened when talking on the phone or computer. When you talk to someone in person, you get much more out of the conversation. You interpret their body language, face expressions, and social cues. This can lead to you having a better understanding of what they are saying, not eliminating the risk of miscommunication, but greatly reducing it. The feeling of anonymity and the ease for misinterpretation when using technologies to communicate instead of face-to-face communication can easily cause fights between people, impacting their social life and relationships. While communication technology has many negative effects, it greatly enhances the flexibility and efficiency of a more formal, less personal communication. An article written on business.com says that video conferencing platforms such as Zoom and Google Meet let employees work from anywhere without sacrificing visual communication with coworkers and managers. Communication technology greatly enhances the efficiency of workplace communication because now you can communicate with your boss or other employees with anywhere in the world. All you need is a device, internet, or cell service. These technologies also greatly enhance the flexibility of education. When I was in 5th grade, we were in the heart of the COVID-19 pandemic, and there was no way we could safely go to school. So, the school sent us all home with iPads and computers. With these, we were still able to go to school and still in the safety of our homes. This was made possible by a digital meeting platform called Zoom. Without this, there would have been no way that we could still get an education that year. These technologies allowed for basic communication that was essential for our education. The convenience and efficiency of these technologies is dangerous. We think that they are so much easier that we overuse them, and we suffer from it. An article written in the New York Times states that it's hard to know who's being real online, and it's hard for people to be themselves online. And that is a recipe for loneliness, Dr. Murphy said in an interview. He concluded that loneliness had become an epidemic after looking at scientific research and consulting with other college students. Online, you can be whoever you want and have whatever personality you like. This ultimately causes you to be lonely. For example, say that you are a very shy person when it comes to face-to-face interactions, but online you're outgoing and confident. This can lead to awkwardness when talking to people face-to-face because your in-person communication skills are greatly diminished. Teens are greatly impacted by the effects of technology and the addiction of it. A study in the book Generations said that 20% of 10th graders spend 7 hours a day or more on social media. Spending 7 hours a day while also having to go to school for 7 hours is hard. There just isn't enough time. So, teens are resorting to cutting into their sleep so that they can get their scrolling time in. In conclusion, the negative impacts of communication technologies on our ability to engage in interpersonal communication greatly outweigh the positives. These technologies can draw people apart, harm our mental health, pulling people apart, not bringing them together. Thank you.
Damn, bro. There we go. Okay. A 14-year-old boy named Jordan died after using heroin just once. For the first 13 years of his life, he was a good and happy kid. At about 6:50 a.m., his mother received a phone call that changed his life. The phone vibrating nonstop while their dog barked. When she answered, a woman asked if she was Jordan's mother. Sadly, it was too late. Jordan had died from an overdose. This is just one sad story about the global drug overdose. To make our community a better place, we need to end the drug crisis in our nation. The National Center of Health Statistics says there was over 100,000 deaths from drug overdose in the United States during 2021. 1 in every 17 person aged 16 and 65 had used drugs. Every day, more drugs become available. It's important to understand why people use drugs, which can hurt families and take lives of young ones. One main reason is the legal drug trade. Raising awareness in our communities is important. Thanks to these efforts, the overdose dropped 36% in 2022. In Mono County, 29 of ninth graders reported using alcohol or drugs, but overall youth drugs use had decreased over the years. These patients are told to stay away from drugs. Emergency departments are now using treatments to treat these victims. More police and first responders are using this. Supporters want Narcans to be as common in making them in public places, like stores and hotels. These approaches can help communities and families affect the drug use. Oh shit, man. Okay. Stopping drug use can help health and well-being of these communities. By supporting awareness, we can be happier and safer environments for everybody. Damn, bro. Thank you.
Diego. Okay, good job. Gwen is going to. Okay, so if you are Cody, go to the podium to be photographed. If you live in Gwen,
I have like tears in my eyes from laughing. Tears in my eyes from laughing. Okay.
Keep talking.
Diego's speech was really funny.
Attention staff and students.
We are going
We'll
home.
be riding the June Lake bus home. Please gather your things and meet in the cafeteria to eat lunch before you leave. The bus will be leaving at 12:05. June Lake kids only. If you are not a June Lake kid, you are to stay in class. So June Lake kids, please gather your belongings and meet in the gym. Thank you.
I had a dream.
I had a dream.
We're gonna get Lex's photo, and then Gwen is gonna go, and then we're gonna go to lunch. So we're gonna be there.
Actually.
We'll go to lunch at
Wait, so no one will be in here?
Oh wait, we might go to fifth grade. No, they'll be back. Okay, you guys, I want Gwen to have time to go before the bell rings. So if everyone could sit down, Ember, you gotta not show photos right now. Thank you, June Lakers, good job.
I had a dream.
Sit in the front row and give Gwen your full attention.
Come on, Gwen!
Diego, you did amazing.
Be safe, guys. Bye.
Can I go, Miss Daly? Okay. I met Valerie when I transferred to a new school in 5th grade. I wasn't friends with her. I would just talk during class. But I was friends with her best friend Amelia, so we would hang out occasionally. Later when we got into middle school, we got closer. We had math together with Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith was older and he didn't really care what he did, so the boys would just mess around and pick on each other. I sat with Valerie in the back. I did nothing but talk to her. I noticed that Val would pick apart the pencil sharpeners that Miss Grandal would give us. She would take out the blade and she would start cutting herself. I probably shouldn't be smiling at that part.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But Gwen, this is real. You're like,
Well, I know, but it's hard to do
when.
when people are making silly faces at me.
Okay, so everyone be a good audience. Show the full respect. This is a really serious speech about something that really matters. So everyone, we're distracted by like snow, bus, all this stuff. So
Should I just
you
restart?
Front row, so you're all there. Everyone do a reset. Okay, focus, and Gwen, you're gonna start again. And you got this.
I know I got it. It's just I got distracted by
Okay.
everyone.
Perfect. Let's get it.
I met Valerie when I transferred to a new school in 5th grade. I wasn't friends with her. I would just hang out with her every once in a while. But I was friends with her friend Amelia, so we were always by each other. Later when we got into middle school, we got closer. We had math together with Mr. Smith. He was older, so he didn't really care what we did. All the boys would just mess around and pick on each other, but me and Valerie sat in the back of the class. I rarely paid attention. I would just talk to her. I noticed that she would pick apart the pencil sharpeners that Miss Grandal would give us. She would take out the blade and start cutting herself. She would leave such big gashes from her thighs to all the way up her arm that would make anyone cringe. I didn't say anything at first, but I noticed it got worse, so I started bringing Band-Aids to school for her. But this didn't last long because the school counselor enrolled her into a psychiatric hospital. A few days after her release, she tried to kill herself and was hospitalized again. I heard that she had posted a TikTok, so I looked for the video. It was her tied up in an ambulance, and it said, "POV, you tell the school counselor too much." I was so confused on why she'd even post something like that. I felt a sharp pain in my chest because I felt like all I did for her meant nothing. I only liked the video because I was one of her friends. But after liking the video, I noticed that most of my For You page was about self-harm, suicide, and people's personal relationship issues. All this stuff made me wonder if this was why Val was doing all this stuff to herself. I knew Val did not have the perfect life home, but she was always on her phone. Whenever we would hang out, she'd be constantly checking her phone. She was very involved with social media. This event made me realize that social media could be the issue. To make our community a better place, we need to protect our kids with mental health issues and protect our kids from social media. Social media shows self-harm and suicide too easily. The first time I saw self-harm and suicide when I was in 6th grade, so I was about 12. I saw this after liking one video. I was too young to be seeing these types of things. According to a website called Samaritan, more than 3/4 of the people who took the survey saw self-harm content for the first time at age 14 years or younger. And people with a history of self-harm were more likely to be 10 years old or younger when they first viewed it. This proves that social media shows a lot to even kids younger than 10. The article also says 75% people said that they had self-harm same or similar ways, sometimes or often, after seeing self-harm imagery, while 76% said that they had self-harm more severely, sometimes or often after viewing this content online. 83% said that they had a content-specific trigger warning, such as self-harm or suicide, rather than self-content warning. It would have much more of a positive impact on them. When social media uses sensitive topic as a way of a warning, it doesn't have much as an impact as self-harm or suicide would. Having a content warning of self-harm or suicide shows what it's actually gonna be and doesn't surprise them in a bad way. When someone is trying to heal, it doesn't help to avoid such topics with such an easygoing warning. Social media has proven to be addictive and designed to hook our brains This issue causes a decline in our mental health. Whenever I'm on TikTok after school or even on the weekend, I always say, one more video and then I'll do my homework or clean my room. But after hours of endless scrolling, I find myself having no motivation and energy to do anything. Dr. Nancy DeInglis says, social media platform drives the surges of dopamine to the brain to keep consumers coming back over and over again. The shares, the likes, and the comments triggers the brain's reward system center, resulting in a high similar to one people get when gambling or using drugs. When you take a drug, it releases dopamine to your brain. Dopamine is what makes you feel satisfaction, motivation, and pleasure. But when it comes to addiction, it means a person becomes more dependent on the activities or substances that overstimulate the brain's dopamine pathways, causing obsessive behavior despite the negative consequences. Dopamine addiction is what social media does to your brain. Teens are spending more time on their phones than even sleeping. Have you ever stayed up all night on TikTok or just scrolling on some kind of social media? Well, I know I have. There are countless nights where I've spent my time scrolling on social media instead of sleeping. This made me at school very tired and unable to focus. Recent studies have been done by Gene Twenge, who tells NPR about how teen girls spend their time outside of school. He says between 2010 and 2021, the percentage of 10th and 12th graders who slept 7 or fewer hours rose from 1/3 to nearly 1/2. Kids in that age group are supposed to be getting 9 hours of sleep a night. This means that teen girls are getting 3 or fewer hours of sleep than they should be getting. Not getting enough sleep can result into things like anxiety, depression, and even self-harm. This is because sleep is crucial for our mental health and physical health even. Teens and children are supposed to be getting 9 hours of sleep because this is a time for your body's rest, growth and development. Therefore, to help our community, we need to help our kids with sleeping issues that are likely caused by social media. Ultimately, we can improve our community by using social media more responsibly. Social media has been proven to be deficient for our mental health by the way it affects growing minds. When you use social media more responsibly, you have less of a risk. But using social media irresponsibly can cause you to see things like self-harm and suicide, which will have an impact on you. Keep yourself safe and healthy. Limit your screen time and hang out with your friends in person. It would make all the difference. Thank you.
That was good, Gwen. Good reset.
So am I just staying in middle school?
Yeah. Hold on one thing, so I'm gonna stop that and we'll put it back up. Because of the snow, the next speeches will begin in about 5 minutes. So we're just gonna pause, and then you guys are all gonna come back in here, okay?
Like to watch?
Yeah, to watch, and then Amber will go. Yeah. So you guys just get passing period right now, and then I'm gonna pause this for a second.
Wait.
You get passing period, then you guys are gonna go to fifth period, which is gonna end up being in here.
I'm gonna go.
And then we'll have lunch.
So I'm going in like 10 minutes.
You,